Okay, so we're talking here about the history of the steel drum. In other words, we call it pan. And it was way back when I was a kid. I was born in 1933. And all during the 1933, they had a thing they called bamboo. They used to beat the bamboos in the streets, and the size of the bamboos, the big bamboos, make deeper sounds, and the smaller bamboos would make a higher pitched sounds. And they had a thing they called, being of African descent, it was a kind of tribal thing and territorial. And they had the thing they called the stick fight, because back in Africa they have this territorial thing, you know, the Africans have this tribe fighting against that tribe, and that used to be fun. And in growing up, they went carnival, what they call Mardi Gras. They had things like the jab. This guy would have a skinny suit on with a tail on, and saying, pay the devil jab, pay the devil jab. That's way before pan started. Now, they had a thing they called the pitch oil pan. Pitch oil pan is a square pan where they used to sell pitch oil, kerosene then, you know, and that they would use. Like we had no song, just rhythm. We really strive on rhythm, beat on anything, and chant songs, you know, like stuff like that. And we on the streets. Then it came into like 1942 when World War started, and they stopped the carnival for 5 years and 8 months. They stopped all carnival. But when they stopped the carnival, they didn't stop us from playing the stuff. Anyway, we had the pitch oil pan. They will strap it around the neck, and that turns out to be a kettle. So, in beating the pitch oil pan, it develop a different sound from this spot. When you play this one spot all the time, it develops a different spot from the other. And like they would say, pan, this Winston Simon Spree is the guy who invented pan. That is incorrect. That is not accurate at all. Pan invented itself, because the idea came from beating on the pan, creates a different sound. So you have this special pan and you beat in one spot, all of a sudden you find you get two sounds. So, then another sound will come up from just not beating on it. So when you realize that the idea came in, that instead of accidentally the sound happening, you could hammer it or get a rock or anything and put the song in yourself, the pitch that you want. Then you have another company, the Coconut Growers Association, used to sell coconut oil, and the coconut oil would come also in a can. The can looks like the 45-gallon oil drum that they have today with the pan, but smaller. And they pump the note from inside out instead of inside in. No grooving. They pump the note inside out, so they have that cave. And put the note in. They have like 3 notes or 4 notes. And they had a song, a movie they come out with Alan Ladd, This Gun for Hire. They made a calypso on it. Alan Ladd, This Gun for Hire, Alan. Pum 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 pum. That was a big thing. That was a big thing. So I would stand by a place called the East Dry River. That dry river run all the way through the island, Port of Spain, to prevent it from when rain falls from flooding the city. And they call it the dry river. It's still dry all the time except when rain falls. And across this that's where the All-Star Steel Band was originated. Now this All-Star Steel Band came from a set of guys they called Waterloo Bridge from higher up by a theatre they call Royal Theatre up there, called Waterloo Bridge, because that is how the gangs used to give their names, from movies that American movies like Invaders, that come from a movie. Tokyo come from the destination Tokyo. Casablanca come from the movie Casablanca. That's how they get the names, because the badder you could song, you know, Rising Sun. Right during the war, the Japanese, the Rising Sun, behind the Rising Sun, had a band named Rising Sun. And even the bad guys, like Jack Slade and Spider and all these kind of bad names. Anyway, the Waterloo Bridge eventually came further down in a place they call Charlotte Street, which is almost the middle of the city of Port of Spain. First they had the band that I grew up with was a band called Hill 60. And when Mardi Gras time, they would play like a military mass, they call it a ship, they call it SS Chicago. And they play military. So the Hill 60 turned out into be the SS Chicago Steel Band. And we had that in the east side of the Dry River. The west side of the Dry River was All Stars, were turning to be, before they come Waterloo Bridge, and then they turn into Heliad. And then they turn into All Stars in the later time. The guy, Neville Jules, I used to look at him tuning his band across the dry river, and I look at him and he made the thing they call, but they named the pans of this song, how it's sung. The little coconut oil drum, and he put the 4 notes in it, called it the ping pong because it sounded like a ping pong, ping ping pong, pong pong, pong pong, ping ping pong. They made it ping pong, and they had drums that they have a heavy sound. They call it the belly, and they have one that today they call it the durup. It was the second bum, and they had what they call the biscuit drum, which is used like a kick bass. That was the biscuit drum. Until later on, Ali Manet was the first guy who put notes in the biscuit drum, and they call it tune boom. Dum 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 boom 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 Anyway, that was Ellie Manet doing. Now, Ellie Manet was the captain of the Invader Steel Band. That's where he come from. As a kid, grew up with the Invader Steel Band. He was very popular because we had a kind of racial thing there. You know, the higher your color, there's more opportunities you get. And he had a high color, so Invaders used to really get a lot of favors. They had a song they would play, and they won steel band competition called Why Sally Water, Why Sally Water. See, I know a lot about Ellie. He was here in San Diego, and I miss us, and I would like to talk with him one-to-one, and he will be surprised to know how much I know about him, you know. And but you know, this Neville dude, they had Eddie Manet, Neville Jules, Simon Spree, and the guy who was Andrew Lavastine was the leader of our band, the Hit 60 band. Those four guys, I remember, was responsible for really when Pan really started in improving. But Ellie and this Neville did the most, my personal opinion. Because Neville Jude is, if I'm not mistaken, is the first guy I see put rubber on his mallet. Because it used to be just a mallet, and he put the rubber on the mallet. I saw him put the rubber on the mallet. That was my first. Anyway, so that's how the pan really started, from the kettle into the coconut oil drum. And then I noticed they had a guy in our band, in our group. We used to call him Police. He used to go down on the west side, and he's the first one who came up the hill and said what he saw Eddie Manet doing. He saw Eddie Manet sinking the pan inside and grooving it. That's how we started grooving it. Now, they had this, the Festival of Britain came up, and they organized a band from leaders of all steel bands. Anyhow, before I go that far, let's go to Casablanca. They had a guy named Croppy. He was Casablanca pan tuner, but he just disappeared off the scene. And Oscar Pye, which he gave an interview on Steel Talks. His interview was accurate, but he still missed out from when the steel drum, the pan started, and he jumped right into the 45-gallon oil drum. He didn't talk about the kettle and the coconut oil drum and the porno pan. Now, Neville Jules spoke about that because he made the ping pong, the porno ping pong that I'm talking about. Ellie was on the interview. Ellie talked about coming to the United States with Andy Noel's father and stuff like that. But he is a guy that I really give a lot of credit for the improvement in the pan up to when pan started to have the ringing tone. That came into the late Bertie Marshall, who just recently died. He is the one who came up with the ringing, putting octaves on the note and making it ring. But anyway, way back then, when I used to fantasize hearing a ping pong playing Marianne, and then it happened. Ping pong playing, pong, 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 pong. Because I remember my mother, she used to play in a band called advertising Dot Kidney Pills. And that's the song they used to be playing. Friday all night, Miss Mary Ann. Down by the seaside, she's safe and sound. Even little children love Mary Ann. All day, all night, Miss Mary Ann. So, I used to find, that's why I love Mary Ann so much. It's a real deja vu. When I hear Mary Ann, I go way back to deja vu when I was a kid. Now, me and my other two brothers, we grew up from without a father, separate. My mother and father separated, and we had no discipline, no guidance. We run the streets anyhow we want, And my mother was so busy trying to feed us, she didn't have time to discipline us, But we'll go to school and do the normal thing. But then we get into the pan, me and my brother Ray, we got into the pan from around that time with the 3 notes and the 4 notes. And now Ray, my brother Ray, he was my elder brother, he first got into the pan, and anything he did, I want to do it too. So he got into the pan, I got into the pan too. In the pan, they had a thing we call the tent. A tent was a kind of thing made out of bamboo. And that's where they would be gambling and hanging out and stuff like that. And we would go in there and some pan we would be beating on the pan. And those guys, when they're gambling, they don't want to hear no pan. They used to chase us out to the tent. Stop making noise, man. You're gambling the money and losing and stuff like that. So we would take the pan out and go some places and play. But we stick with the pan, Bands used to go, and now this is where the territorial thing come in. Casablanca was a band, they have a territory. The whole area, not only the pan, but the whole area, that was Casablanca area. Here's you see where I come from, the same thing. Tokyo, destination Tokyo, was a place called John, territorial. Invaders was in the west side, it was territorial. Now, bands are like Silver Stars and all these new bands come from, Syncopators come from Casablanca. Silver Stars, they come from Invaders, and they have Tripoli and all that stuff. And in San Fernando, where I wasn't too much, I had too much knowledge of part of San Fernando.